Well, there's something you don't see very often. The original Sony Betamax symbol on the top of a machine. And that's because what we're looking at here is we're looking at a vintage top loader I think this is SL8600. This was a machine that was given to me back in, I'm going to say 1983, I guess it was. It was my first beta machine, and I got this when I worked for the Sony Corporation as a Betamax technician, and this was one that was being tossed out. So I was able to rebuild it. It was more of a training machine. It was when I was hired by the Sony Corporation. They gave us a broken machine and said, okay, you're going to fix this thing. This is going to be your training. This is your hands-on machine. You're going to learn how to fix these things, and this is what you're going to learn on. So this was the machine that I actually cut my teeth on as far as servicing Betamax machines. This thing hasn't seen power probably since it was repaired, and it's just been in a box collecting dust. I didn't want to part with this thing just because it's built so well, and you'll see when I open this thing up. I have no idea if it works or not. It probably does not work because it hasn't been turned on in eons. I don't even have any screws for the thing because when I got it, there was no screws. It was a machine that had been used in training, and we all went through this. All of us techs. There was a few of us that were hired at the same time by Sony, and we all got to pick around and play with this machine and change heads and do all kinds of things on it. Anyway, it used to work. Whether it still does or not, that I don't know. We're going to find out. So let's take the top off this and see what the guts look like. This is a single motor design. I'm just going to bring the camera up a bit higher so that we can get a good top view of this mechanism, because it's really quite mechanical. Okay, looking down from the top, one thing that makes this machine completely different than pretty much everything else that followed it is there's one motor. One main motor, and that turns both the head drum and it also turns the capstan shaft. And I'm just feeling here to see if the capstan is turning, and it actually is. You can see as I turn the head drum, it actually, or as I turn the main motor, it actually turns the head, because there's a large belt that goes from the drive motor over to the head, and then there's another belt that goes through a pulley system to reduce the speed to drive the capstan shaft. This is a single speed machine. So the first thing I'm going to do on this thing is I'm going to actually power it up and see if it actually still works. And then we can tear it down and see what makes it work. And if it doesn't work, we can tear it down and see if we can get it working. So the first thing I'll do is I'll apply power and we'll turn it on. And I don't have power because my bench power is not on. Now it is. Okay. Clock display lights up, so that's a good sign. Looks like we have power. So I press the eject key. That part works. Let's just put a tape in it and see whether it will eat this tape or not. Okay, it's having a bit of trouble threading up. Looks like maybe the loading belt might be a little bit worn on here to start, because I had to give it a little bit of a help there to finish this loading cycle. But as you can see, the tape has threaded up nicely, and we can put it through the motions here and see whether it'll rewind and fast forward. So there's rewind, it's at the beginning. Okay, it's going into shutdown mode immediately. So there's a problem with the auto stop, which means it's not going to play until I fix the auto stop on this, for starters. Let's just try unplugging. There's a little plug here. This should disable the end sensor, which it does momentarily. Aha! Now, what's happening on this machine right now, if we take a look at the back here, we'll see if I go into rewind, my pickup coil is not working. It's going into immediate shut off. And how these work is as I've explained on beta machines before, there's a metallic leader to the tape, and when it passes over a coil, it works like a metal detector. What I did over here on this side is I just unplugged this plug that goes to the end sensor. That allows the tape to move forward. So if I press fast forward, for example, the tape will move for a minute anyway. Press play, what you're going to see happen here is it's not going to be taken up, and you're going to see the tape go slack, and it's going to go into shutdown. Because right here, there's a little spring-loaded lever, and it has a little magnet on it, and that magnet will pass over this little reed switch here if the tape becomes slack, and it'll shut it down. So if I press play, our take-up is not. Right now the tape is becoming slack and it's going into shutdown. Fast forward works. Besides the fact that the belts are making a heck of a noise. Rewind is not working. And play is not working because there's no take-up here. So there's a good chance that when I eject this tape, it's not going to wind the tape back into the cassette, because there's going to be a belt that is broken that drives the take-up spool at low torque during playback. If I want to rewind the tape, I'm going to have to put it into rewind and turn the motor by hand to wind the tape back, because the motor won't come on because there's a problem in the auto stop circuit. So we have a few things on this old beast to investigate. I just want to try and take this tape back to the beginning here before I eject it, because I know it's going to eat the tape for sure. Okay, I've rewound the tape all the way back so that what is going to get damaged will be just the very beginning of it when I press eject, because I guarantee you that it's not going to take the tape into the shell. As I fully expected. Because the take-up spool is not turning. So we'll just thread the tape back into the cassette. And now we have a starting point to see exactly what is wrong with this machine. We will start by removing the cassette basket assembly so that I can access some of the switches and stuff that's underneath here that detects whether there's a tape in it or not. That's what activates the loading mechanism. It was nice that I managed to put only 2 screws into this thing. Again, this was a trainer from the early 80s. So I'm sure that as I open it up, we're going to find that there are lots of things that are missing from this unit. This lets us now, with the cassette top for the housing removed, and incidentally these machines will work. If I I can load a cassette in here and push it down manually, and it will run without that top piece on. What threads the tape up is there's a little, that's the record lockout switch there. There should be another little button back here that gets activated. It's right over here. Or is it this one? One of these two. That's the record lockout switch there. This is the cassette in. So when that one gets activated, it should operate the mechanism. To start the cassette loading, there's actually 2 things that take place. There's one little collar here that gets pressed down by the tape. That activates the switch, which turns on the motor, and this lever over here releases the cassette, or the threading arm. So if I press down, motor will come on. If I release this one, it will go through the motions for threading. Now the tape is threaded. Now, because unlike VHS, as long as that is down, I should turn on the motors, I think. There's fast forward. You see? And rewind is going into stop mode immediately. But that's going to be because of this other sensor. If I unplug this sensor here, it probably will allow me to put it into rewind. But I'm more interested in playback. So I'm just going to hold this tape, slack detection post out of the way. And as you can see now, the machine is in playback. The pinch roller is turning, but we have no rotation of the take-up spool. So the first thing we have to deal with is getting the rotation of the take-up spool working. It's going to eject the tape, or eject the mechanism, I should say. And we'll take a look underneath here to see what is slipping. If we look down here in the mechanism, we'll see that there's a couple of idlers. This is the idler here that operates when you go into fast forward and to rewind. This idler here moves, you can see it, towards either the rewind side or the fast forward side by this other rubber tire. We know that one's okay. The play idler is this actual limiter assembly over here. This is the one that turns the spool on playback. And it's driven from below the mechanism. So we're going to take the bottom off this thing and check out the belts from below it. And just because Sony thought we were all idiots, they had to put that sticker on. Simulated wood cabinet. No, actually I thought that this plastic was really wood. I really thought that the plastic sides on this oh man, it really feels like wood, man. Feels like that. I had to put a sticker on there that it's a simulated wood cabinet. And you notice that sticker actually had a part number, 3-703-184-01. You could order that sticker with that part number. Okay, here's the bottom of this beast. Yeah, nice circuit board. Looks like that screw is popped right through the the board itself. Let's remove the board so we can access the belts. Make sure it's off. Don't need to be shorting anything out. And here you'll see a relatively complex belt path on this thing. Let's get some more light on this first of all so you guys can see it. Okay, I put on the big light so we can probably going to cause some shadows here now so we can examine this thing. So here's our main motor. And as you can see, the main motor's got 3 belts coming off of it. One belt drives this real drive pulley. There's a couple of idlers here to hold the belt out of the way so that it keeps it aligned, because the motor shaft is lower than the pulley. So the belt actually comes up, goes around these idlers where it comes up and goes around the pulley and then back down. The second belt is driving the capstan motor. It's a flat belt and it's going over this idler pulley here to reduce the speed. And then from the idler pulley there's a third belt that goes around the capstan flywheel. There is no servo on the capstan on this unit. All the tracking is done by varying the speed and the phase of the video heads, the drum. And then there's another belt which is basically, I think it's like a 1-to-1 ratio. Let's just see here. We'll point the screws here in the same orientation. So it's just slightly more than a 1-to-1 ratio, you see. Every time I rotate one turn, the screws are getting slightly further ahead. You see that? What controls the speed of the drum is this coil. It's basically half of what we would call a shaded pole motor. You can see here's the rotor here. Here's our shaded poles. This doesn't have an AC voltage applied to it though. It has a DC voltage. So it turns this into a variable flux fixed magnet. And what that does is to slow down the drum, because the motor itself is a synchronous motor. It's an AC synchronous motor. So it is going to operate at 1800 RPM. And that would also cause the flywheel to run at 1800 RPM if it was a 1-to-1 ratio, which it's not. As we just saw, it actually will go slightly faster. So what the job of this brake motor is to do that. It's to apply a braking field that will actually slow down and cause some slight slippage of the belt. So that if you can see what I'm doing here, if I'm turning the motor, the brake will actually allow the drum to be slowed down while the main motor continues to pull it at the regular full 1800 RPM. This is how all the original VCRs, and VHS was no different. They did exactly the same thing. They controlled the speed of the drum motor exactly the same. Now what I need to do on this is this is the belt that's going to be slipping. This is the play belt. So I'm going to see if I can find something that will fit over. I guarantee you I don't have the exact size. These are big, round, heavy-duty belts. So I'm not going to have a belt that's the size of that for sure. But I might be able to find something that I can either put in here in place of this one, or maybe I can put some rubber renew on it. It's not broken, right? The belt's not broken. It's just slippery. So maybe if I put some rubber renew on here, or even some rosin or something to stick it up, make it a little more sticky, it won't slip, and then we can get this machine working. Okay, I just put some rubber renew on this belt. It's taking off all the shine on it, so it's not so slippery. I'll just try putting it back in here now and see if it's going to provide any more torque than it did before, which I think it is. We'll now put the other belt back in place, and we have to make sure that we get it underneath the idler pulleys. And I remove I hold the tape slack detector out of place because there's no tape in it. You'll see that the pickup spool now turns. So, saying that, I should be able to put my tape in now and not have to worry about it getting chewed up. Put my tape in, and my tape will thread. If I press play, the tape is now moving. That noise is getting to me. We have a very noisy bearing in there somewhere. Either the main motor or one of the pulleys is squeaking. But let's just see if we get any playback off of this unit. Now I won't be able to plug the audio plugs in because I need an adapter for that, because this unit used a mini plug for the audio. But we can plug the video in and just see if we actually even get a picture. And that'll tell us what we have to do next. You're not going to believe this. This thing's actually playing something back. I have a feeling that this might have been done in... This might be done in Super Beta. No, probably not. It's more than likely the preamp is not working properly. We've got some severe roll off here. I don't think the heads are shot on this thing. It might be. The heads maybe foobarred on here, but this thing's actually playing a tape. I'm not getting any color off of it. It's in black and white, but it's actually playing something that I shot many years ago, when they actually used to have animals down at the park at Stanley Park. So this would have been shot, I'm going to say, early 80s. '84 maybe, 84 or 85 is when this would have been shot, because they haven't had animals down at the Children's Zoo down there at Stanley Park for forever. Figure out where that noise is coming from. Okay, we can eject the tape. Can't rewind it because the rewind sensor is still not working. Well, we're able to eject the tape this time. And we know that that part works. We know that the tape transport works. Now we just have to deal with the problem with the playback. I'm going to look at the preamp circuit. I'm trying to remember where the preamp is. I'm pretty sure the preamp's underneath the shield here on this side of the unit. This is going to be the head preamp over here. Of course, the dead giveaway is the fact that it's got this big metal shield over it. Let's get the shield open and we can hook up the scope and do some tests. Okay, our scope probes hook up. Our trigger is off of the pin, I think it's pin 5, pin 1. I forget what way they number these things. It's probably pin 1 because I normally count looking at the connector from the front. So pin 1 is our trigger, pin 3 is our RF to the scope. And as you can see, if I vary the tracking control here, our signal level comes down. We'll take the tracking control back up. Our alignment's not perfect, but you know what? For what it is, it's actually playing back not too bad. There we go. Now, before I go much further, I want to try and find out what's making that noise and lubricate whatever is squawking before it burns out completely. I have a feeling it might be the midway pulley here for the capstan shaft. Let's just see. No, it's not. Well, these idlers here, that's a good way to determine if something's squeaking. Just stop it from turning. That's what's causing it. Let's get some oil on these idlers here, and that'll shut that thing up. So we'll just get in here and put a drop of oil on each of the, and only one drop, that's all it's needed. Just one drop of oil. And that'll quieten those things down. There, peace and quiet. Now I can get on with trying to figure out what's wrong with the video circuit on this thing. It's most certainly going to be capacitors. So I'll get the board back on the bottom here. I can set the unit up right, and we can take a look at that. But now you can see the operation of this thing, how everything works. Tape loading and unloading is actually done. There's a little rubber idler down here, so I think I'm going to, while I've got this thing apart, there's in the behind, I don't want to stick my finger in here with this fan spinning or I'll lose a fingertip. In behind here is a rubber roller that engages to this clutch on this gear assembly. This is what loads and unloads the tape. So I'm just going to get in there with my rubber renew stuff and put some of that on that roller so that it will allow it to load and unload smoothly. So I got some rubber renew on this Q-tip. I'm just going to take it down and hold it up against this roller and just put it into play for a minute. And clean off this roller. That'll, when that dries, that'll restore that surface a little bit. I don't know if any of you guys with keen eyes have noticed something that I've done here. I don't know if I'll tell you guys or not. I'll let you guys figure out what I did. I'm not going to tell you, okay? I've done something to this thing to, no, I'm not even gonna tell you. Okay, I'll let you guys look at the mechanism and you can tell me what I've done to this thing. Based on what you've seen me do so far, what is different? I'll let you guys sound off in the comments because I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. I'm kind of cheating here a bit to make this thing work. But I'm not going to tell you what I did. I'll let you guys figure it out yourself. But I think if you look at the, if you look at what's running there, you can see something that doesn't look right. But I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'll let you guys figure it out and sound off in the comments, and I'll tell you if you're right or wrong. It's kind of a little cheat that I learned eons ago. And no, it's not all right to do this to a customer's machine, but this is not a customer's machine. This is kind of a band-aid that an engineer would do if he had a problem on a machine that was, say, on the air, and he needed to get a part for it, but he needed to get the thing working. I've said too much. You guys have probably already figured it out. Let me get the bottom on this thing and we'll figure out what's wrong with the video circuit. So this is our RF board, RF playback amp here, and these boards, just you have to take the back off them. They just swing down for nice easy servicing, and then the shields just pop off just like that. So I'm thinking we probably have some bad caps inside this thing. Obviously this is not using any of those surface mounted caps. This was made long before those things came to market, but I'm sure just from the unit sitting around as long as it sat around, that is probably what is wrong with this thing, is that we've got some bad caps. Okay, I've just been scoping a few things on here. I can see my RF is leaving this board. That's funny when I put my finger anywhere near here. Just my body acting as a antenna picking up radio signals and stuff. This is the connector that the heads plug into. Everything goes through the preamp. From here it goes out this connector, and I think this one goes back to the other main board on the bottom. So let's go look at the main video board and see whether our problem is on the main video board. Picture's in black and white now, it's not looking too bad. The streaks have gone away. Looked like over deviation there, but it might be that this tape was recorded in, I know this tape was recorded in beta hi-fi, so that will cause some problems there, because what it is, they shifted the carrier up to put the hi-fi signals in, and these older machines were never designed to receive or to play back those signals. If you've seen the course on the Super Beta, when the instructor from Sony, Omer Morier, when he was talking about compatibility and how for beta hi-fi they shifted the carrier up by 400 kilohertz to create a space between the rolled off edge of the lower sideband and the chroma, the down converted chroma, so they could put the carriers in place of where the lower sideband used to go. So they had to free up some space by moving the lower sideband up in frequency, or moving the carrier up in frequency. And they tried to keep the bandwidth the same, but they lost some bandwidth, freeing that spectrum for the hi-fi audio carriers. So what Super Beta was to do was to move the visual carrier higher again to restore the bandwidth in the lower sideband to bring the resolution back to what it originally had been prior to the development of beta hi-fi. But I know there was some compatibility problems when you've got a tape that was recorded in beta hi-fi, and I don't know if this tape might even be in super beta. It may have been. This was recorded in December '84 to January '85. That's when this was. That's when this tape was recorded. I've got the original box here. So it was dubbed in hi-fi, but I'm not sure whether it was dubbed in super beta or just in hi-fi. Either way, adding the hi-fi moved the frequency of the luminance carrier by 400 kilohertz, and that sometimes caused some compatibility problem with the older machines that were not expecting that carrier to be higher in frequency. So that might be what's causing a slight tearing of the picture, but we still only have a black and white picture. So let's get into the video board and see why. Talk about living in the danger zone. You got a metal shield that's going to go up against this transistor here, but they've got a piece of plastic over it so that it doesn't short. Sony, they thought of everything. That goes on like that. So shielding back in place. Yes, they just clipped it in like that. That's how the shielding stayed on these things. We're going to get the audio board out of here, not the audio, the video board out of here now. And they got the machine facing the other direction this time. One of the nice things about these machines is that you could put them up on their side and work on them. They were designed to be serviced. So here's the main board. Here's our DMOD board over here. Our signals come in from the preamp through these connectors here on the back. If we look down here, we'll see one marked RF switch pulse, video out. Where's playback? Playback RF is coming in here somewhere. Gotta find it. I just saw it a second ago too. Playback chroma, playback YRF, or record RF, playback RF at pin 3. I have to deal with my neighbor slapping the hockey puck around with his kid singing the Hyundai song. This is how we do it. Let's get our ground back on. If I show you the scope here, you'll see that my playback RF is good. Actually, the picture, other than it being black and white and dim, is actually good on it now too. So our signal comes in. I'm just gonna try to trace this thing. So I'll have the camera off here for a few minutes while I'm looking at the circuitry. Okay, just looking at this unit here, we've got some level controls on here, and there's a VCO. This would be for the this would be probably for the color oscillator. That might be why we don't have any color. I just got a pre-recorded tape playing in here now. Remember the movie Friday the 13th, the original one? Well, I have it on beta. It's not tracking up perfect, but at least it's got some pretty good levels, and I'm not getting any streaking on it. I'm just going to put the scope on here and check the levels out and see whether the phase is off on the AFC, the VCO. Okay, looking at my levels here, I'm just adjusting my levels on the scope using the, as you can see, I've got this thing playing back almost perfect now in black and white. I haven't tackled the color yet, but I've just been playing with the levels using the playback adjustments, the playback level adjustments here on the board. And that's got my picture looking somewhat normal. And the next thing we'll tackle is the color problem. Down here there's the AFC. Let's see if I've got chroma coming in first of all. Yeah, there's chroma coming in, so the chroma's there. So we know it's going to be something on this board here. It's probably just the frequencies off on the oscillator. So let's just try tweaking the playback AFC. Let's see whether watch this. Okay. We just tweak it ever so slightly. We have color. We have color on this thing. It is working, and as you can see, there's nothing wrong with that picture. Nothing at all wrong with that picture. So this machine, I don't want to show that for more than a few seconds because I don't want to get hammered with a copyright strike for showing an image from a movie. This machine is 37 years old. This was 1979 vintage, and the only reason I'm showing this pre-recorded movie was just to show that my streaking that I was getting on the other tape was due to the fact that that tape was actually recorded in Super Beta, and this machine won't play Super Beta. In fact, the only thing this machine will play is it will play tapes recorded in Beta 2. This was kind of a disaster for Sony when this machine came out, because prior to this machine there was the SL8200, which was the first consumerish machine, and it was a Beta 1 only recorder player, and that was followed by, I believe it was the SL8200, was a dual speed machine that would record and play in the Beta 1 and Beta 2 speeds. Then came out this machine. This was the cheapo machine, the inexpensive answer. By utilizing one main motor and all those belts, limited the machine to one speed, like the Sanyo 9100, the VCR 9100, which was the Beta 2 only version that Sanyo had about the same time. And I used to have a 9100. It was my first Beta machine that I owned, was the Sanyo VCR 9100. But this was the equivalent of that. It was a single speed, and it really kind of alienated a lot of the prior Beta users that had purchased machines that could record in Beta 1. And I mean, every machine after this that Sony made could record and play in Beta 2 and then to Beta 3, but they were also able to play back any recording that was recorded in Beta 1, whereas this one would not do it. Anyway, I appear to have this machine working for playback. Let's get the board back in the bottom of it here, get it turned back upright, and see whether I can actually get it working, see whether it records. That'll be the next test. Is I'll go find a blank tape, and I'll see if I can record anything off of this thing. But we know that the playback circuits are working, as you can see, and it's actually working very well. I think I might be getting a little bit ahead of myself here though, because I do want to investigate the auto stop, because the auto stop circuit's not working properly. I have the tape end sensor for playback and fast forward disconnected to make it work, but it won't rewind. So I'm going to take the front off, because this is where the sensor adjustments are. It may just be a matter of adjusting the frequency of the sensors. What else, right? I mean, everything else on this thing seems to be just adjustment based. Two adjustments here. Rewind sensor oscillator adjust and forward sensor oscillator adjust. It looks like somebody's adjusted the rewind sensor at some point in the past. So let's just try, because it won't work. Let's just try tweaking it slightly. Aha. We may be almost out of range. Okay, gonna get the scope in there and take a look at the oscillator. So after much more time testing this bloody auto stop, I've found the reason why the rewind is not working. It's because the coil is open. If we scope the common point, you'll see the oscillator for this is the playback side. If I unplug the coil, note what happens. The waveform drops to nothing. Okay, now this is a common point. If I go to fast forward, again I've got my carrier. If I go to rewind, nothing. The reason why I have nothing is because the coil on this side is gone open. So the only thing I can do to make this thing work will be to bypass the auto stop, which is not really a good thing to do, because when rewinding the tape, it's going to not stop until it actually hits the end of the tape, and that could damage the tape. But considering that this machine is not going to be going back into service anyway, this is more of a just, can we get this thing working? Can we make it work? Can we make it record and play? I can't rewind a tape without being able to enter rewind. So I'm going to have to probably bypass. I'm going to take a look at the sensor and see whether it's just at the sensor itself where the wire is broken, but it's looking like the coil itself has gone open, which was quite a common problem on these units. Looks like the coil's actually gone short. If I measure the supply side coil for just continuity, 2.4 ohms, 2.3 ohms. This is the take-up side. Remember, these are the same 1.8 ohms. So it hasn't gone open, it's actually got a short in it. That is why the rewind is not working. Well, as you can see, the unit is now playing back. This is that pre-recorded movie, Friday the 13th. So I don't want to leave this thing on here, otherwise I'm going to get popped for a copyright violation. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hook it up to cable and just see if I can do a recording. Got to find a blank tape. That shouldn't be a problem. I should have a few of those kicking around. Let's see if this thing will actually record. Remember back in the days when we used to have fun, we used to have to actually get up and change the channel. Boy, I miss those days. The tuner's working. There's my security cameras. I have a few VHF channels on my private system here. Channel 12, that's my media player. It's a stereo, that's my blonder tongue stereo modulator. Channel 4, I've got a cable channel that's being played through on my channel 4 modulator, and another one on channel 7. My security camera's on 9, and 12 is my media player. So the tuner's working on this thing. Let's dig up a tape and see how this thing records. Okay, I've just put it on a recording. I'm just going to record a bit of the ZZ Top concert here onto the end of a tape. Let this record for a couple minutes here. We'll play it back and see how it works. Gotta love these old beta machines. How they thread the tape. Tape is pulled out, wrapped around the drum, goes over the video drum here, the audio heads. Here's our pinch roller and capstan. Here's our tape slack detector. Comes back around this one loading arm, which is locked in place on this plastic guide, and then back into the cassette to be spooled up. Very simple path. The tape stays loaded all the time. This is a 37-year-old machine. I have put no parts into this thing to get it working. I cleaned up a belt and I adjusted some controls in the video circuit and the color circuit, and the machine is playing. The tuner is working on it. It's picking up my analog system, or my analog signals from my in-house system, from my blonder tongue modulator. And now we're just doing a test recording, and I think we can probably rewind this now. And as you can see, I'll put the memory counter on so it should stop when it gets to 0. I guess that doesn't work. There we go. It's playing back its own recording. A little bit of streaking in there, but geez, you know, for a machine that's 37 years old, I think this thing's doing a remarkable job. Look at that. It's just like, and this is also a pretty old tape that I'm playing on this thing. This tape is probably as old. I'm just playing with the tracking control here. That's why we're getting some lines in the picture. That's just me adjusting the tracking. Rewind. Play. It is working. Amazing. But you can see here it is. Just to prove to you guys that this is the machine that's actually playing it. There's the monitor and there's the tape. Now if I pause it, the picture goes off. All right. Turn it back on. Just to prove that this machine is actually playing that recording I made on it. Let's, for the heck of it, just try interchangeability. I'm going to hook up my other Betamax machine and we'll see how this tape plays on the other machine. So here's my old SL8600 that I just dragged in. We'll play it back and we'll see how it plays on this one. It's playing better back on the old one, that's for sure. Yeah, we've got a bunch of creases on this tape, but there's playback on my SL8600, and that's a damaged tape. All these lines, that's not the machine, that's the tape itself. The tape is rippled. This is again an exceptionally old tape, but yeah, it is playing. It looks like it's playing pretty good too. So I'll show you the tape. I'll take the tape out of here. That's playback on my SL8600, and you know, we'll take a look at the tape here. We'll see that the tape. First of all, the tape's right at the very end of this tape, but I guarantee you, if we look at this tape, there's probably a bunch of creases and stuff. Oh yes, you can see the top edge of the tape is rippled. This tape has been abused. You see the damage in the tape. See the creases in the tape here? That's what's causing all those lines, as this tape has been chewed up at some point. It's a very old tape, and what happens with these old beta tapes is that the oxide actually starts to come off them. So it doesn't take much, and the oxide will actually flake right off these old tapes. But as you can see, this tape, you can see all the scratches and stuff, right? That's what was causing all those lines. So those lines you saw in playback, that's not the machine. That was just a tape. This was just an old tape that I found somewhere. I haven't even got a clue what's on it. It wasn't one of mine. It was one that somebody gave me. I think I got it with a Betamax machine that I'd been given. It came with a tape in it. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this look back at this old SL8600. I'm just going to take the 5200 out so you can get one last look at it before I put the top on it. There you go, one last look at the unit. I'll just eject the tape on it again so you can see how this fascinating mechanism operates. We'll catch you in the next video.